Hello, cozy detectives, and welcome to the Blanket Fort Files. I'm Larissa,
And I'm Joy.
and we're here to report on all things comfy and cozy.
It has been a hot second because although for the Cozy Detectives it was 2 episodes, for us we went like 2.5 hours or something
Yeah.
on Gilmore Girls as a whole. And so it's been a minute in since we've been in the blanket fort since then, because that was a day, which we loved. We loved talking about Gilmore Girls, but like my voice was tired after. I was like, okay, I need to like take a nap.
I know when you said it's been a minute, I was like, no, we were in there for so long, but I get what you mean.
From
And it's
recording.
also like
Yeah.
we're recording this like on a day that we don't normally record on. So everything
Yep.
just feels a little off, but I'm so excited to be in here with you today and
Yay.
getting ready for more fall content, back to
Yeah.
school.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. It was interesting because I haven't personally been back to school in a hot minute, so I watched like YouTube videos and it was so cute to like see all the vibes of everything. And
Love it.
we like last week where we talked about Gilmore Girls, that was different. We do have case files this week, but we do have some fun bonus tips towards the end as well for back to school cozies. So, but first, how was your week? How was your weekend? I think we had a weekend in between. My brain's glitching.
Yes, it's gonna take us if we're a little rusty this episode, bear with us. We
Gilmore Girls
talked
took us.
for a very long time.
Yeah.
I'm very interested
Oh
to
my
see
gosh.
how the final take of that one's going to be, if because I
Me
feel
too.
like by the
I still
end
have to
we
edit
were
it.
just like in circles, Gilmore Girling it up, but I love it.
Yeah.
This weekend was really fun. If you guys joined us on our live, by the time this comes out, that would have been like 2 months ago, but on our little cozy summer live, I was telling Joy about this vintage expo that I had tickets to.
Yes.
And that
Tell
was
me.
this weekend, and I had so much fun. I feel like I was really channeling my inner Joy, not
Yay, yay.
Joy the feeling, but Joy, my pod partner, Joy. um, and I got some really good finds, and it was just really fun to browse through everything and check out all of the
Yeah.
booths.
Yeah, you found some great things. You texted me all of them and I was like, oh, so proud. I think that's how I responded. I was like, oh, so proud.
Yes. I know. And it's like now I've been looking up more thrift stores in my area. I've been following different
Oh my gosh.
thrifting accounts on Instagram. Like you've fully
Yes.
taken over me. I love it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And we in our I think it was our first episode too, we were talking about like thrift wish list, and you
Mhm.
found an item from your thrift wish list which is like gold. Like if you are a thrifter and you find that item, it's like so exciting. Are you loving it? Cuz you got the light
So
bulb
much.
too.
Yes. So Joy definitely inspired me. It's not like a Tiffany lamp, but words are hard.
You're doing great.
Joy found a Tiffany lamp. What was that? Last year? Earlier this year?
Yeah, earlier this year. I think again because we're on those 3 different timelines, it feels like it was last year, but I think it was like March.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. But I just really loved it. I've been online trying to find like a really pretty statement lamp,
Yeah.
and they're always so expensive. And we'll have to put up a photo of it
Yeah.
here.
Where did you
Um,
end up putting it? I'm so curious. I didn't ask that question because I wanted to ask on the pod for
yeah,
the Cozy
so
Detectives.
it's in my living room, which I think I talked about this a little bit a few episodes ago about kind of doing a revamp. So it's very kind of coquette meets um, cottagecore vibes. And
I
so
love it.
I have it in front of our window. So it's really pretty at nighttime.
Mm.
It's a very soft. I know we love our warm light. So I was
Yes.
very excited to find like frosted incandescent light bulbs, which still confused about if those can be sold or not. The verdict is still up, I think, but I just really love it. It's got pink flowers on the panel. So the lampshade is just a bunch of different like glass panels, which was really pretty. And it's a touch lamp, which I'm very
Oh,
excited to have found that out. I shared a picture of it on my Bookstagram. I don't know why, but that's kind of become where I've shared my little decor finds lately.
I love it.
And a couple of followers messaged me to say either their mom or their grandma had the same one growing up, and they were telling me that it was a touch lamp, which I'm very glad that they did because I would have been looking all over for a knob or a pole.
Oh.
So I'm glad they told me.
Oh, see, I love it. It has kind of like a brass looking framing, and then like you said, it has the panels throughout for the lampshade, and then it's an ornate, if I'm remembering correctly from the photo, I feel like it's like an ornate uh like body to it, I guess is the
Mm-hmm.
phrasing of that. And so that's cool. I didn't know it was a touch. That's so fun. I know
Yeah.
I it gave me very like in again because I love like 90s 2000 things in the best way possible, but it gave me very kind of like 70s 90s vibes, which I feel like
Mm-hmm.
is also very popular now because I feel like every like 20 years is when it'll cycle through,
Recome.
and
Yeah.
I love it. And I also feel like again it's so classic that even if quote unquote it's not in style, I feel like it's still in style because I feel like it's just like a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful classic glass lamp.
Yeah, it's very timeless, and I love it because it's a three, I guess, bulb. I don't know the technical term, but it
Oh,
has three of those chandelier esque light bulbs, the kind of like dewdrop shape. So,
yeah.
and it has three brightness levels, which I really enjoy.
Ooh, that's so fun. Yeah, mine's an on or off switch, but I still love it. I
I
feel
love
like it.
yours too.
Right? It's off. Let me see if I can even move this camera. There we go. So
Yay!
it's that. It's not on right now because I can't figure out how to get it in frame without it being in the middle of the room. But I love it. And it's sitting over there and I turn it on and I put my little disco ball underneath it. So it's
Oh,
kind of like
cute!
disco-fies the room.
Very cute.
So yes, I love it. I love it. That sounds like such a good weekend. Was there any like food there? I feel like sometimes those places have like the best food too.
So there, it was at our. So Texas has a massive state fair every year, and so
Oh.
part of the fairgrounds exists year round. So they have different exhibit halls, and so it was at one of
Cool.
those, which had a built-in Tex-Mex restaurant.
Ooh.
So not necessarily an on-theme food, but very, very delicious.
Yum. That's so fun. This weekend, I finally got paint for my air dry clay. And I
Oh,
will say, as an
yay!
update to the air dry clay, the paint that I got was like trickier to put on than I thought because I didn't get acrylic. I got like another type, but I painted my three little things that
Mm.
I made, and then I got a glossy top coat, and then I did that. So they are in their places, which is very fun. And it was nice just to kind of like watch TV and paint. I don't know. I just feel like if you're on the computer a lot of the times, it's really nice to not be on the computer. But today we are really excited to talk about our case files because although it's back to school kind of themed, specifically towards the end, our tips are also for like workplace. And that's something that both of us focused on is it's things if you are going back to school you can use, but maybe if it's just kind of that back to school feeling vibe of late summer, early fall, these can also apply as well, even going to and from work, or if you're work from home, it could apply. So Larissa, do you want to get into your case file?
I sure do. My case file is another book today. I
Yay.
am talking about a YA graphic novel called Basil and Oregano. This was written and illustrated. Sometimes with graphic novels, it's two or three sometimes people creating it.
Oh,
But this one is one author doing the illustrations and the storyline.
cool.
And the author's name is Melissa Capriglione. I'm going to butcher
Mm.
that, but there was a pronunciation on her website. So that was really helpful.
Ah,
But the book was published in 2022, and what sold me when I saw this at a on a shelf in a bookstore was that it is Great British Bake Off set at a magical boarding school.
oh, fun.
And if anyone has been listening for a few episodes, I did a case file on Bake Off
Ah,
quite some time ago now, but it's very near and dear to my heart, clearly.
yeah.
So this premise really excited me. It's very like cozy fantasy vibes, and the book itself does take place over the course of an entire school year, but there is a heavy focus at the beginning of them starting out a new school year at this cooking school. And it is, I don't know like what country it's set in or if it's just a completely fictional land, but the name of the school is Porta Bella Magic Culinary Academy.
Cute. Little Mushroom
Love
Academy.
Yes, love the pun. And so essentially, the premise is they are little culinary witches and they use magic to cook and bake food. And the main character is Basil, and she has to be named top student for 2 of the quarters during her senior year in order to keep her scholarship. So she gets a
Mm.
scholarship to attend this academy, cannot afford it without it. So if she's not top student, they're going to take away the scholarship and she'll have to pay the remaining tuition.
Oh, so it's over their senior year then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so kind
Mm.
of a final year. So I was kind of confused at first because the threat was, oh, you'll lose your scholarship, but then like
But then what do
it's
I
the
care?
last year.
Yeah.
But it's basically you would have to pay the difference.
Gotcha.
And then there is a new student, and her name is Arabella Oregano. So that's where the title comes in, Basil and
Cute.
Oregano. And she faces a lot of pressure from her mom, who is this like renowned chef. Her mom's very well known. And so she's putting a lot of pressure on Arabella to follow in her footsteps, to kind of live in her legacy. So the two get paired up together to compete, and Basil kind of thinks Arabella might be hiding something. She's not sure, but there's some secrets at play. And I'm not going to say what they are. No spoilers. But they also get paired up with a familiar, which is this magical animal to kind of help out with the
Cute.
baking process. And they get this little dog that kind of looks like a tomato.
Stop. That's so
I
cute.
know. It's like the cutest, little coziest baking magic story. And there's, of course, like a bully mean girl, and
Mm.
her familiar is a dragon. So, of course,
Oh.
kind of more evil vibe. Or no, I think she has a tiger. There is a dragon later on, but I think hers is a tiger. But so Basil and Oregano kind of have to work together, but they're also still competing for top student.
Interesting.
So that's kind of confusing a little bit. So every quarter, essentially, one student is named top
Mm.
student. And so if Basil doesn't get it 2 out of the 4 times, she loses her scholarship. So the book is just really, really the epitome of a cozy fantasy. I thought the artwork was very beautiful. There's a really nice use of colors in the graphic
Mm.
novel. I think sometimes with books like this, I feel like sometimes it's either the story is a lot stronger and the artwork not so much, or vice versa.
Mm.
But I think this one had a pretty good balance between the two. It is quite cheesy, but it's a YA, and I would say probably skewing younger on the YA spectrum. But I think readers of any age would really enjoy it. It talks and handles some themes of mental health, particularly burnout, which
Mm.
I really appreciate. I think we see that in both Basil and Oregano because, Basil has this pressure of maintaining the scholarship. Arabella slash Oregano, it's her full name, so it gets kind of confusing, but she has a lot of pressure from her mom. And so they both kind of have to navigate maintaining, top performance when you have a lot of these outside or in some cases internal forces that are stressing you out. And I think the message of that going into whether a new school year or like
Yeah.
you said, for workforce, because obviously the majority of our listeners are out of school, but
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of messages here that we can apply. Even if you don't work in a school, your life doesn't revolve around the school year focus like mine does. I think that coming into this time of year, you can really use this as a fresh start to kind
Yeah.
of close out the calendar year. Because I know for you, Joy, your business runs more calendar year. But I think going into this quote unquote last quarter, I know this is like your busiest time of the year.
Yeah.
I think taking a moment to start fresh is really helpful. And again, with helping the themes of burnout, which is why I really enjoyed this book. And then one last little behind the scenes of the book, more so on the author. Melissa is an Indiana native, and this is actually her first graphic novel to be
Cool.
traditionally published. So you can find it at a lot of major bookstores. I got mine at an indie bookstore, but I think it's like sold at Barnes and Noble and things like that.
Wow, that's amazing for your first graphic novel to like be in all of those places. Like,
Right.
good job. It was reminding me of a F. Scott Fitzgerald quote, which I was trying to make sure I was saying correctly. But it's life starts all over again when it gets crisp in the fall. And I feel like that was like
Oh,
another way of saying what you're talking about how even if we don't have a like calendar school year, maybe you have kids that are doing a calendar school year, or maybe it's just kind of that transition from a very busy, a lot of the times for a summer, into a little bit more of a not as busy social calendar fall, or maybe it flip flops for you, but just kind of having that new fresh start feeling to it, I feel like is one of the reasons we wanted to have this be a theme for us and the Cozy Detectives, just to kind of like remind us that like you really can have that fresh start when it gets crisp in the fall. I was thinking
yeah.
about that when you were saying it. I was like, oh, I gotta find that quote.
That was perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
So, shorter case file today. There is some romance a button throughout the book as well.
Mhm.
So, if that's, if you're more into fantasy, there's stuff for you. If you're more into romance, it is very, very cozy, super chill. It's an easy read. I got finished it in just like an hour or so.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, that's my case file. And
Yay.
I think it transitions pretty well into yours, kind of zooming out on books as a
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah. So I do have one question about your case file before
Oh,
we go into
sure.
mine. Is I was curious about, since it's a graphic novel, but it's baking focused, are there like recipes? Because I know that in a lot of just baking focused, more I guess quote unquote traditional books, they would
Mhm.
have like a recipe or something. But how does that work with your case file this week?
There weren't recipes, but there were a lot of pictures of food. So
Fun.
maybe that's my next cooking
Cute.
project, is recreating something from basil and oregano. We'll see.
Oh, I love that. So, yes, my case file this week is about the Scholastic Book Fair, which
So excited to
I'm
talk about this.
excited. I didn't really know too much about it other than my personal connection with it, which I will go into in a second. But if you are like, if it's not something that has ever happened at your school, the Scholastic Book Fair is basically a day or a week, depending on your school, where for me, they took over the cafeteria, but a lot of times it's taking over the library if your school has a library. And there's basically a small book fair that is set up. So it's books that you can purchase. I remember loving any of the like fun extras. Like I would always get an eraser and a bookmark because they would also have that like the scratchy, if that makes sense, where it's like I
Where
don't
it
know,
makes
just
that wah sound.
yeah, you just be like but it's something that your school puts on, but you can buy books. And then a few of the history of the Scholastic Book Fair. One, I thought it wasn't happening, but I'm happy to say that it is still happening. So that was something I learned
Fun.
from this. So
Mhm.
if you have been out of school for a while, I just was not aware that it was still going on, but it is. And I went on their website, which is where the majority of these facts come from about the history of the Scholastic Book Fair. And if you're looking for one either for kids, or if you're a teacher, or if you're wanting to get involved in that type of way, you can put in your zip code and find when the next Scholastic Book Fair is in your
Oh,
area.
fun.
Or the closest one. So when I put in my zip code, it didn't really pull up anything, but I put in my state, and that's when it gave me a few options of book fairs coming up soon in my area. So the overall, it was started in 1920, but not the
Oh,
book fair
wow.
itself. It was, what is his name? Maurice R. Robinson, or Robbie, published the Western Pennsylvania Scholastic, which grew to be a 24-page bi-weekly publication covering national and world affairs, sports and literature and arts in the Pennsylvania area. And then it kind of expanded from there. So in
Hmm.
1948, they partnered with Pocket Books and the Teenage Book Club, and they allowed students to have access to magazines. Basically, like they would either have them sent to your school, or if you had it, you could rip out the back page of it and bring it to school and kind of order through your school and get magazines that way. And that was before they had like the book fairs themselves that would come to the school. In 1957, they partnered with, or the Scholastic Canada was, I believe, created as the company's first international subsidiary. And then now, I was not aware of this. It's not just a United States thing. I thought it was, but they're also in Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, China, India, South Korea, Japan, Malaysia, Thailand, the Philippines, Indonesia, and Singapore.
Wow.
So I just feel like, basically the core of this company is to help kids love and enjoy reading
Mhm.
throughout ages. I saw pre-K all the way up through ninth. And I think that's another reason why maybe if you went to a smaller school, or maybe if you just didn't have that at your school, specifically high school, is the part where I don't think it goes all the way through that age range, but focusing on younger kids, really fostering the love of reading. And on the website, you can look for it through the lens of either a parent, like you can click down of parent, or of teacher, which I thought was really fun. So,
That's cool.
right, no matter which way you're looking to get involved in it, you can do that too. In 1963, I think, so actually, let me ask this before I do this. What is, if you were to think of a character, a book series, something involved with the Scholastic Book Fair, what do you think of?
Oh, like just what I associate Scholastic
Mm-hmm.
Book Fair. I would say, I don't know. I feel like there's probably like an answer you're looking for, and I
But
don't know if
there's
I'm.
more than I thought. So I think you're good to go on most of them.
I would just say for me, I don't know if you're mentioning the '60s, maybe like a Nancy Drew esque, but for
Mm.
me, just like my own memories of it, because like you kind of mentioned the magazine, but I very clearly to that like
Yep.
pamphlet that was few pages, and you would, I know I had a very clear
Circle
system
it.
of like rating it. This is my one, like star is must, must, must.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very into the Babysitters Club books,
Nice.
and I definitely want to do a case file on those. But for me, I always like followed up at the book fair of like, oh, what's the next one? So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I
Mm-hmm.
associate it with.
So the official mascot, which I didn't know they
Mhm.
had, of the Scholastic Book Fair and Scholastic in general, is Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Oh, I
Right?
love.
Like it made more sense to me once I realized, because I feel like in the kind of print material, he's in a lot of different places.
Yeah,
And
that makes sense now.
right from
And it's kind of unlocking a memory because I haven't flipped through
right?
one of those in so long. But yeah, now I can kind of picture him. There's a lot of red too, but I just thought that's
Mm-hmm.
because that's like Scholastic's color.
Right? I thought, like, we've talked about this in previous episode about the colors of notebooks. And so it's like I just feel like I kind of associated those together. But Clifford
Hmm.
himself is apparently the official mascot in 1963 is when
Cute.
he came about. And from what I could tell, was created by Scholastic as like a thing. I wasn't aware of
Hmm.
that. In
Interesting.
1981, they launched the Scholastic Book Fair. And I think a reason you're remembering the Babysitters Club is because the Babysitters Club and the Magic School Bus were 1986 is when they were created. And I think from what I could tell through the research, they were also created by Scholastic. And so that's why a lot of those are in our memories throughout.
Mm.
If you're thinking back over as the Cozy Detectives, thinking back over your book fair memories, those three characters are probably populating in your mind now, especially because I said them. um,
Well, I'm glad I at least got one of them.
no, you're great. I don't think I would have specifically thought that either. But then once I read it, I was like, oh, yeah, duh. Like that makes more sense why he's all over the place. And also like the
Hmm.
Magic School Bus. And I feel like, especially if you were a early to mid 90s kid, that's probably another reason why it kind of connects in our brain, because that's when like the TV shows were coming out, the books were coming
Yeah.
out. It was funny because when I was looking up Clifford the Big Red Dog to try to see if he was created by Scholastic, there was either a TV show or a movie that came out in like 2022, and I was like, oh, that's so cute.
Oh,
Like it's still going on.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cute.
I know. And then you can purchase also through the website. So I was trying to find if I could like order a magazine to have, and I couldn't
Oh,
quite figure out where that click was, but you can look through magazines online. They have a like brand new breaking news STEM section, which I thought was really cute. So
ooh.
they're kind of focusing on different areas of reading and study as well. And then a few of their best sellers, which I thought was cute. This is all from page 1 too. So Clifford the Big Red Dog, The Babysitter's Club, Magic School Bus, Harry Potter was on there, Goosebumps, and then Peppa Pig was like the more like recent new one. But
Yeah,
I thought it was so cute. So
that's
that
fun.
I know. So that's like the majority of the history that I saw about the Scholastic Book Fair. But through the lens of maybe a little bit older, if you're looking to get involved in something like that, or you're looking to see where it is in your town, if you are maybe like stay at home mom or something like that, there is a lot of options on the website. And the majority of the books I saw, they have a 5 and under like dollar section, but the majority of the books I saw were about the $7-8 range. So it's not, it's actually somewhat cost effective depending on the book that you're looking for online.
Yeah. And I don't know if this ever came across in your research. Does, like, if a school hosts that, do they get like a portion of the
There,
proceeds?
I believe so. So it seems to depend on the type that you, I guess, kind of like booked or like connected
Mhm.
with. And if by any chance anybody from Scholastic is reading this could be totally wrong because this is just Joy's like interpretation. But I think it depends on the tier. And there are certain things like as a teacher that if you were to book, I paid more attention under the parent section, to be honest. But under the teacher section, if you booked certain areas or if you had a certain number of, I think, sales, I think your school would get different tier levels of it. So it is to help also the school overall, because there's the parent teacher and then there's a district tab that I didn't
Mhm.
click on because I was like, I don't even know
Yeah.
what, that's not my wheelhouse. But I think you can kind of go at it in a good way of different angles. But there were specifics for teachers as well on that.
Nice.
Mhm.
That's so fun. I keep seeing things online of where adults now want some sort of Scholastic Book
Yeah.
Fair, which I guess is technically just going to a bookstore, but there's something about getting that catalog beforehand to go through.
Yeah.
And I wish that we had that. So, if there's a new bookstore popping up, if you're thinking about starting a bookstore, I think you
Yes.
should make a little pamphlet, and
Yes.
maybe every few weeks or maybe once a month when you get new inventory, put out a little flyer. I feel like that would be very
Yeah.
popular.
Or
And
like,
maybe
yeah,
we'll make one for our Instagram
I love it.
of some of our favorite books. Just a thought.
Right, right. Because I feel like also, even like for seasons or something like that, I feel like there was something about sitting down, getting really excited about something, kind of circling all the options you wanted, even in like Christmas Toys R Us vibes. Like, I feel like that's
Yep.
that same feeling of just like, ooh, here's all the possibilities. And then let me rank them and then let me circle this. And then, like, you realize 3 or 4 pages later, you're like, oh, I want this more. So you go back and you like X off the previous
Yep.
book. And I feel like there's the nostalgia and the excitement connected with that. And truthfully, that is one of the reasons why we wanted to do the summer reading challenge for
Hmm.
Cozy Detectives, is because that feeling and that excitement, which I believe Scholastic actually still does for kids, but
Love it.
for the adults of it, yeah, I feel like if you have like a new bookstore or if you have like a little traveling bookstore, that would be so cute. Just kind of like send out your flyers before and say like, this is what's coming to your area. Like, love it.
Cute.
Love it. Love
So
it.
fun.
So those are our case files, but as
Yes.
some fun bonus, we each created 3 and I double checked before and I don't think they cross over. So we are
Good.
good. But we each have 3 additional fun bonus tips to help the start of this next season be cozy. Some are kind of school related, but then it's also again more work and just fall vibe transitions in general related.
Hmm.
Larissa, do you want to tell us your tips?
Yes, so we can go back and forth and share number ones, but mine, I don't know about you, although since we're such similar. I feel like this is you as well, of going to back to school like clothes shopping every year and seeing what was in, a fun new piece or fun new wardrobe. Because when you're a kid, you're constantly growing. So you're constantly going through new
Yeah.
clothes. And now, you might not do whole new wardrobes, and that can be really expensive. So my tip isn't, go out and buy a whole new wardrobe, but maybe just a new outfit. You really
Hmm.
don't have to spend a lot of money on this. Maybe it's just a new clothing item, and you could go thrifting, since clearly I'm in my
Ah.
thrifting era. But even just like going through your closet and maybe finding something that you haven't worn in a while, or figuring out a new way to style it or pair it with something else. I think there's just so much fun and freshness
Hmm.
in new clothing, maybe a new accessory, or maybe it's even just like, and we'll talk about supplies in my next tip, but just something that is like a little treat for yourself if you are going back to school or your job revolves working in a school. Obviously that it's a new school you're starting, but like I said, I think these tips could be really good for a nice little freshness. I really like that quote that you shared, like fall freshness.
Yeah.
But just something to kind of treat yourself, something a little special, something new. Obviously with the holidays coming up, that's where we tend to focus on gift giving. But I'm very much a proponent on gifts for yourself. I feel like sometimes we don't do that enough. And I say this is the perfect time to do that.
Yes, that's so funny. My tip is give yourself a treat to look forward to.
Yes,
So
perfect
exactly the
segue.
same page. But that unlocked for me the memory of I had uniforms the majority of the time, but
Me
shoes, like
too.
a new pair of shoes were a big thing. Also
Mm-hmm.
belts, because you could pick your belt, and then your backpack were the three, and hair
Mm-hmm.
accessories, but that was like later on. But I had this like very specific memory of getting really excited. It's funny. We might have a little bit more crossover than I thought, because I have a tip about school supplies too. But in kind of bringing that to the adult realm of it, of giving yourself something to look forward to, whether that is at the end of the day, 1 or 2 days a week, you're going to grab dinner on the way home, or you're going to cook something unique and fun, or you have like, I will only bring this purse if I go to this location, or just something that brings a little bit of newness to the season. And again, it could
Mm-hmm.
be something of even discovering or relearning to love an item in your closet that maybe you haven't before. Like so unrelated, but this is the first time I've worn this top, and I've had it for like a hot second, and it has to do
That's
with my
so
2% cozy. So
cute.
I'll connect it to that in a minute. But just something of, I've had this, I got this last summer, and I haven't really worn it because I've just been kind of nervous too, because it's that thing where I built it up in my mind so much about like, oh, I just love this top so much, so I'm afraid to wear it. And it just like,
Aw.
whatever, if you know, you know. But today I was like, okay, I'm going to give myself a little treat. I'm going to put on my shirt because it connects with my 2% cozy. And then I can talk about that in the same time. And I feel like, yeah, there's just that newness of it and that giving yourself a treat. So what is your next tip?
For
That was my tip.
sure.
So I feel like that
Love
connected
it.
so well.
Yes, so that goes kind of also into mine. And so, um, obviously, I talked about the clothing aspect of back to school, but also everyone's favorite is getting new
Yes.
school supplies. So I think this is where it can really apply, whether you are in school, you have a desk job, even if you work from home. I think there's something really special about getting some new, specifically cozy work
Yes.
items to keep with you. So some examples I put down were a nice soft lamp or fun pens. Maybe you have a job where you can't write in fun colors, but even just for your
Taking your
own
own notes.
notes,
Yeah.
exactly. Maybe a little gel pen, a little glitter
Oh my gosh,
moment.
love.
Some fidgets I think can be really
Mm.
helpful, especially if you're easily distracted or lose focus. A mug warmer. So if you get
Yes.
distracted and can't finish your coffee or tea throughout the day, that
Mhm.
keeps it a little bit more fresh. But specifically, the tip that I wanted to share, I learned about from a TikTok account called Mama Cusses, and she
Mm.
shared this last towards the end of summer. And so I think this could be something that either you do for yourself, which I want to do, or if you're a parent and kids that are starting back to school. But she shared she does a sort of Christmas in July, which obviously this episode is coming out of July, but you could do it, as school year starts. But her kids will have their school supplies, but she wraps it up like they were Christmas presents and
That's
then puts them
cute.
under a Christmas tree that they'll set out for just like a few days, just to kind of help ease the anxiety about starting a new school year. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of emotions that take place. I know, especially, I obviously don't have kids, but I know for parents, that transition from summertime, loosey goosey routine into more structured time
Yeah.
can be really hard for some students. And so, having a little special celebration to wrap up summer,
Yeah.
I thought was really cute. And as someone who just loves, loves, loves Christmas, I thought that
Yay.
was such a cute idea. So shout out to Mama Cusses. I think that's a very fun activity.
Absolutely. That's fine. I've never actually heard of that. I'm trying to find my current pen I've been using. I keep putting it in all these other
I saw
places.
you looking
But
around for
I
something.
know. I was trying to find my pens. These are the ones I don't use as often because they're a little bit more, I guess, harsh, but super not sponsored, but love them. The Papermate Flare is just
Ooh, I know
oh,
exactly. I have some of those.
love. I
Very
just
good.
like the put up against my head. But I
That
feel like
little
that's just
YouTuber hold.
yeah, put it against my forehead. Like that's like what you're supposed to do, whatever. It's okay. Aesthetic in different ways, you know? But I feel like that, or you said gel pen, and I was like, ooh, I haven't gotten a gel pen in the longest time. I feel like
Mhm.
I should find some online because I feel like there has to be ones online. Cozy Detectives, if you have favorite gel pens,
Yes.
let us know. That's my favorite kind of like a felt pen. And I feel like even if you're in a more, like I've done corporate America, I've done not corporate America, even in the corporate America side of things, I feel like not even more so, but for me in that moment, more so, it was helpful to have just something that felt like me. Cause I feel like a
Mhm.
lot of times it's always like a black pen or something like that. And it's very by the book and just having your own little like light purple gel pen. Like that would just be amazing. Like,
Yeah, a little bit of your personality for sure.
yeah, yeah. And it's once again, good transition into mine. So mine was as a kid, I would always be the kid that would save the stickers for later. So my tip is don't
Mm.
save the stickers for later. Use them. Use them on
I'm
your
glad
notebooks.
I didn't say this because I almost alluded to this concept after you talked about your first point, but I was like,
Mm.
I'll just keep it in and we can talk about it later. So I'm glad I didn't step on your toes. But yes, I'm trying very, very hard to live by this, but it's difficult.
Yes, I know. I the reason I put this in is also kind of the self reminder because I do a lot of things where it's too good, I'll save it for later. And then I'm like, why?
Mhm.
You know? Like I
Right.
have this is off topic but same vibe as I remember as a kid my mom having the china that was only the guest china. We didn't use it otherwise.
Mhm.
And then I don't know what happened somewhere in high school. She must have just had like a rough day or something. But then she was like, "You know what? Forget it. We're using the china now. We're using it every day. This is our new our new plates because why not? You know, why
Right.
not use the good china daily?" And I feel like that's the same thing with stickers. A lot of times I'll keep them, especially as a kid, I'll keep it for later, or nowadays I'll keep like I won't write in a notebook because it's too nice or something. And then I'm like, no, I just need to write in it. I just need to use it because future joy will just be happy that it made me happy in that moment.
Yep.
So that and getting yourself the gel pens are two things that I will personally be taking from this because I don't have as many stickers as I used to. I have some stickers that I've used. If you were part of the Vintage Joy launch last summer, I sent out some fun like Lisa Frank stickers with orders just because I felt like it was fun and I hope that you
Yeah.
used them. But I need to get myself some more of those. And I wrote cute pencils also is my second part of this tip because from doing my coffee class that I did a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
whenever that was actually, I learned that depending on the coffee cup that you drink from, your experience with the coffee will be different because
Hmm.
at like a I guess like a formal something where they like rank the coffees. They did a test where they gave the judges either like there was a cup that was half sided red and half sided tan. And if they gave it to them with the tan side forward towards them, they had different flavors that would come out than if they gave them the red side forward. And I feel like
Interesting.
if that works for coffee, it definitely works for us and for cute pencils and cute pens and making your stationery fun. So that was my second tip.
Yes, love it. Color theory is so interesting.
Right?
But yes, I really like the mantra of don't save the stickers because I do that even just with candles or like a
Mm-hmm.
bottle of wine I get from a trip. Because
Yeah.
in my mind, I build it up of, oh, it has to be a very special occasion. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. You bought it because you enjoy it. Life is a special enough occasion.
Exactly.
Just use the fancy things for a
Yeah.
random day. It's fine. I
Yeah.
need to do that better at that. So I'm going to try.
Yay. What's your third tip?
My last tip is to create some sort of cozy evening routine as you wind down. I know, especially in the summertime, if you are off during that season or if you have kids that are home, you get into this habit of later nights and just kind of a free for all in the evenings. But not that you have to have this super structured bedtime routine, but I think incorporating some more cozier elements to help um, before bed is really helpful. So whether that is you get into audiobooks or you start listening, maybe re-listening to a favorite audiobook before bed, doing some simple yoga. It doesn't have to be this hot, heavy routine, but
Yeah.
a few wind down stretches. I really want to do like a cozy tidy up every night. So you kind of inspired me with talking about the cozy cardio, but I think there could be something about setting on some soft lamps, putting on one song that's chill and
Yes.
cozy, and just going around putting everything where it has its place. It doesn't have to be a huge cleaning, maybe just wipe down the kitchen counters. And so that way your life is a little less chaotic. Maybe you have your tea, sleepy time tea with you while you do that. So just kind of creating a nice coziness before bed is something I definitely want to do more of this upcoming school year.
Yes. I feel like ours folded so perfectly together. Mine
Love
is
it.
create or listen to, we do have some, but a playlist to help romanticize either your drive or I wrote drive, but when you were talking about that, I thought it'd be also a good transition from daytime to evening time. Just giving
Mhm.
yourself kind of the routine of that, I think would also help because it's kind of telling your brain, okay, we're driving from work to home, so we can start to exhale, or we're going from awake to nighttime, so we can start to exhale there too. But doing something audio and kind of engaging more of your senses, or maybe every day at whatever time you light this specific candle to help create those triggers in our brain of like, okay, we are going to exhale now. And I think that's something
Mhm.
with cozy cardio in general. Like a lot of times it is in the morning, but I feel like if you were to do it at night, like if you were just to kind of chill with your sleepy time tea and just walk for a little bit and watch a show, or you one of your 2% previously was the YouTube channel, and I really liked the like vibes of looking at something, which I know it sounds kind of funny, but it's like I was like, ooh, I'm in a coffee shop, or for me, I was like, ooh, I'm in like Lord of the Rings, but only the Hobbit
The
area.
Shire.
Yeah, only the Shire. So just things like that where it's cozy and calming and engaging multiple senses.
Absolutely. I
Ah,
think
look at us
we
go.
might need to have another playlist coming out with this episode. I'm already getting some
Yes.
ideas.
Yes, and I was thinking about a Pinterest board, like a fun back to school Pinterest board would be
Mm,
a good thing as
absolutely.
well.
With these tips, I think there are obviously elements of it that you can make a 2% cozy. That's always our goal with these is something small to incorporate a little
Yeah.
bit of extra coziness in your life. So, Joy, tell me your 2% from this past week.
My 2% is kind of funny, but I love it. Honestly, I really love it. So, it comes with a story. Basically, I finally last year, you've heard me say this multiple times, but it was just such a wonderful time. I got to go to Italy and I loved it. And I got
Mm,
this top in Florence because I feel like it,
fun.
right? I feel like it's a fun, different version of, I can't think what it's called, not a trinket, whatever it's called, like a souvenir to bring
Mhm.
back. So I got this. But one thing I wanted to get, but I couldn't find a flavor that I liked is actually toothpaste.
Oh, okay.
So Florence is known for their Florentine toothpaste, and this is the brand. It's Marvis.
Ooh.
It is a bit expensive, but you can get it on Amazon. It was definitely cheaper in Italy, but I can't get a plane ticket just to get a piece of toothpaste. So I
Can
got
you
this.
imagine?
I know, my gosh. Talk about that's vibes. That's goals.
That's
But
bougie.
yeah, super bougie. I mean, this is pretty bougie too. Like, I think this was
It
like
looks nice. I love
10
the
to 12 bucks.
packaging.
I know. It's very pretty packaging. I got this because this is whitening mint, and I feel like it's not
Mm,
overwhelming. I think the thing about mint that always scares me is sometimes it's super aggressive. They have other things like
yeah.
cinnamon mint, and the cinnamon mint was the only other one I feel like from trying this I probably would like, because also cinnamon a lot of times is very overwhelming, but this is very neutral and calming,
Mild.
and it tastes to me really good. So my 2%
I
cozy
might
was
have to
I
try
finally got
that.
it. Yeah.
I have like my teeth aren't necessarily sensitive, but my tongue is
Mm,
because I tend to bite on it when I'm anxious
mm.
or at nighttime. So sometimes certain toothpastes are just so intense that it
Yeah.
aggravates it. So I might look into that.
Yes. I don't know if I said the brand. It's Marvis, Marvis. I got it on Amazon, and there
Nice.
was multiple options for flavors on Amazon. It is smaller than a tube of toothpaste that you can get in like America, but really it funnily enough, if that's a word, it really does bring me like a little bit of extra cozy, and I actually get like excited to brush my teeth, which sounds so
That's so
funny,
good. But
but
that's kind of the point of
right?
2% is that it's something very small,
Hmm.
but it makes your life cozier or makes it better, more
Yeah.
enjoyable. So that's like literally the perfect 2%.
Right? And it took a hot minute to get here. Your girl ordered this so many weeks ago. But I think even though you order it from Amazon, I think they only order it from Italy when you order it, because it's a
Mm,
product of Italy, specifically Florence is where it is. Because like half of this box is in Italian or some other language, not English.
mm.
So I don't know if you can read that or not, but it's not all English on this box. So but I love it. And I did the thing where like you keep the box, which I feel like is a
Oh,
very millennial
yeah.
thing. But I was just like,
Millennial.
I love it, and I will keep it until I get a new one. So I'm glad I
Yep.
did, because I wouldn't have had that to show the cozy detectives and you. So
Exactly.
now I did. So it makes all worth it.
Perfect.
What is your 2%?
Oh, cute. I love that. Also, just as a side note, so my mom listens to this, and sometimes she'll text me certain things that she's made her 2% cozy.
Aw.
So even if we're only affecting my mom, the people are doing 2%. So I love
Right?
that.
Larissa, mom, let us know if
But
you get this toothpaste.
so she and I actually went to Italy together a while ago.
Cute.
So good memories. But my 2% is was tackling something off of my summer bucket list, which we
Yeah.
shared a few weeks ago in our current world, months ago now, if you're listening to this. But I really wanted to do a summer craft project, and I decided essentially when I put that out there, most likely that I wanted to do some sort of tie dyeing project. And I did, this was actually really fun because normally I feel like when I do tie dye, I just do like a plain white tee, cue the song. But we were at Target looking for something, and pro tip, look in the men's section for
Hmm.
t-shirts
Yep.
because they tend to be better quality and cheaper than ours. So my sister actually spotted it, but it was a white Fleetwood Mac t-shirt.
Fun.
So I got that because they also have better graphic tee options than
Yeah.
we
It's
do.
wild.
It's not fair.
I know, right? Steal from them.
But I got that and tie-dyed like a blues, teals, purple, pink, like very just fun
Fun.
colors. And I thought it just went really well with the 70s band tee kind of vibe. So it was a really
Mm.
fun project.
Ooh, I love that. But do you like wash it after? Or
Hmm.
okay, that's what I wasn't aware of, because I've never
Yeah.
tie dyed. So I was like, before I do all of this and try this out, I'm gonna ask. So, oh, nice. I love that.
Fun.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us on today's episode. You can find us on Instagram at Blanket Fort Files Pod, and be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. We'd really appreciate your feedback, so leave us a review. It really does help us out a lot, getting other cozy detectives in the Blanket Fort with us. And then join us next week in the Blanket Fort, where we'll discuss the coziness of Nora Ephron films. Full fall
I
vibes.
still need to watch mine, but I'm so excited. Mine's going to be